bring it through fast raps, a critical stack, analytical slap. I'm hitting you smack. I'm sticking you smack lips to stack chips, all with the lyrical technique for party.
Quick question for any D&D GMs who might be listening. Have your players ever been so dissatisfied with one of your sessions that they made you stand on a bucket with a blanket over you and jabbed you with broom handles like they did to the main character in the 2002 film Igby Goes Down? Did you wonder, as you recovered enough nerve function to stagger to the kitchen only to find that one of them took restroom privileges inside your refrigerator, how it came to this? Having GM'd approximately 0 games, I think I know the problem. Your NPCs are boring. Here's the fix. I made a spreadsheet of 26 screwy rapper NPCs that you can use to spice up scenarios right now, fleshing out what kind of rhymes they will say and which interesting problems these rappers will solve or create will delight and distract your players. You'll meet eccentric D&D compatible rappers such as Ice Mom, the Dunkwater Boys, Trapdoor Z, and Ghost Trilms, hip-hop's most heralded 13 amphibian group. Just roll a d26, plug one of these loons in, and up your game. I mean, this actually exists right now on the blog at breakupgamingsociety.com. Go download it for free, have a few laughs, and get some NPCs who have bars for once in your life. Welcome to episode 89 of Breakup Gaming Society, a podcast about board games, booze, and hip-hop, recorded right here in Starkville, Colorado, and hosted by me, the Great Unclean One. What awaits us in this episode's expanding bag of fun? Drink of the week, Jack Daniel's Sinatra Select. Punching way out of my weight class here, but I did get a sip or two in on a very special Monday night recently at Frontier Geeks, my friendly local game shop. Games of the week. I got in a rousing game of Escape the Dark Sector, a pulpy cooperative sci-fi game whose throwback vibes and platter of weird battles linger with me still. Also played Scout, a quick player card game I got introduced to and loved. Track of the week. Since we opened with a D&D reference, we're going to a real D&D place with this one. Manhattan. Once home to the legendary D&D recording studios, I'm plucking a track off one of their compilations called Act Up by Ill Breed. So how about we get on the trail and find out how some of these magic items work? It's Drink of the Week.
I kicked it, I kicked it, come on, you couldn't bang with this if your name was Gang Kong.
What the hell is happening? I had to ask Rygar down at the game shop. I mean, for 2 years of Mondays, the open play night they hold has mostly been just the 3 of us, me, him, and the Don. But last Monday, 5 or 6 people start setting up Warhammer terrain in the corner. On our end of the room, another infrequent guest and a few more drop-ins liked the first game of Project L so much, he buys a store copy. It is torn open immediately so we can run it on 2 tables. This is an occasion. Rygar breaks out his black box of Jack Daniel's Sinatra Reserve that I saw him buy last Thanksgiving, and we all take a slug or 2 neat. So my impressions here are colored by the fact that we were electrified by the influx of people and fun, and the fact that I likely have not had any whiskey of this caliber for more than 10 years. I don't have the vocabulary to describe it to you other than to say I was encountering something for which I was categorically unqualified. It's easy to separate a single attribute, and say something nice about the one obviously salient nice thing about a cheapo bottle, but when you're standing on a plane of entirely new objects for which you have no name, what do you even point out? I was reduced to lame approximations, long pauses, saying dumb shit like, "Boy, that is something else." Happy noise from all around me was crowding out the articulation of my 4 remaining taste buds and 1 olfactory nerve that sparks in and out of function. The effect was astonishing as its price tag, but inseparable from the appeal of the many, many surprises that night. I only have to say, especially for my listeners in the Raton Trinidad zone, the welcome I regularly experience there will be no different from yours. These guys extend themselves beyond exhaustion and sometimes beyond financial sense to make folks feel welcome, and you're missing out if you've heard my voice bounce off a hillside, wondered if you'd ever like these games, and still haven't poked your head in on Main Street on a Monday night open play night. That's Frontier Geeks. Sometimes it's really a blast. And the collection of games, I want to point out, has also gotten better. Frontier Geeks mostly functions as a Magic the Gathering clubhouse, but in the last year, Donovan and Ryan have added more general interest hobby games to round out the shelves. I'd tell you that Project L and Veil of Eternity, those are 2 of my current and recent heartthrobs. They're there, but that's not true anymore because they sold out the store copies, probably because of my massive local influence. I don't seem to have the influence to move to Kaido yet, though, but we'll get there. But poke your head in the next time you're on Main Street. Classics like Code Names, Ticket to Ride, Splendor, Betrayal at the House on the Hill, and King of Tokyo are all there. They also have family games, party games, and what looks like an adult-only shelf full of riffs on American board game classics such as Candy Ass, Battle Shits, and Connect Whore. The boys also surprised me by stocking titles that I remember reading good things about, some of which became enduring hits, but I never got around to playing. These include Azul. It's an abstract tile layer, huge hit from 2017. I never got around to it, but I should have. In Azul, your job is to draft pieces and build patterns of beautiful tiles for a palace. Sound relaxing? I've heard it's actually quite ruthless beneath its serene and glossy surface. Castle Panic, another classic. This one from 2009's tsunami of successful designs. Up to 6 players can play cooperatively in a fantasy setting where you've got to work together to protect a castle in the woods from an army of beasties who decided they don't like your castle and want to tear it down. They're organized, so strap up and work together. Raiders of the North Sea, Viking Edition. This is part of Garfield Games' lauded series of titles that include hits like Architects of the West Kingdom and Scholars of the South Tigris. In Raiders, you have to build up and provision your own bands of Viking raiders so your chieftain is happy. You do this with cards, dice, lining up resources that you need for forays from your home village, and I think you even have to manage how you dispose of your plunder in order to make the game work. It's sort of like there's raiding and combat from what I can tell, but it looks like it's wrapped into a larger Euro-style game. Then they also got Red Rising from Stonemaier Games. If you're a fan of Pierce Brown's big-selling series of dystopian novels, you might want to grab a look at this one. You're one of the houses or casts from the books trying to build up your follower base in your climb to power. Or you can just try to get on the board of an HOA. Up to you. So that was Drink of the Week. We're going to talk 2 more games in Game of the Week. Maybe throw another drink in there. The fuck knows what I'm going to do next, really.
I kicked it, yup, I kicked it, come on, you couldn't bang with this if your name was Gang Kong.
So, 2 new-to-me titles that neighbors here in Trinidad, Colorado showed me that I want to consider and play. The first one, Escape the Dark Sector. This is your recommendation if you like supremely well-realized quasi-RPG experience / slugfests where you play together to get on a ship and out of a vast space station crammed with pretty much every kind of B-movie battle and entanglement you can think of. Jojo taught me this one and also wrote a succinct review for it on the Breakup Gaming Society blog, which I suggest you give him a read. But I want to tack on a couple of my own notes at the surprising levels of fun that I had playing this with him. First of all, when we're setting up, he's like, we have to play the soundtrack. And he commandeered my playlist. I'm resistant at first because I've had a long day, but as I see all the black and white, hand-illustrated cards and dice come out of the box and hear the first menacing tremolos, synthesizers come out of my speakers, I realize I need to shut up and take the ride. This feels like the kind of thing I would make, inviting people to an immersive space that's absolute and conceived in multimedia realization. It's a good thing I don't design board games. I'd make people wear like custom hats and dictate that they maybe fire warning shots if anybody pulls up in the driveway and threatens to interrupt the game. What it all rolls up to is the level of commitment to the concept here is glorious. I love games that deliver on evocative encounters, creating scenes as vivid as RPG sessions, but in tighter frameworks. Escape the Dark Sector delivers this, and as the 2 lieutenants who are our characters emerge, outgunned and minimally equipped from our space station jail cells and start fighting our way room to room. In retrospect, Jojo and I made a pretty good dramatic duad. We had Joe, who was the calm, circumspect tactician, and me, the hot-headed brawler. I drew a character who was good at fighting, so I focused on melee weapons and loudly insisted that closing for melee combat was the solution to everything. But there are more nuances to the game's tactical brawl than that. You can opt out of attacking to pull a flanking maneuver, call over a medical drone if you're in trouble. And as he showed me with his deeper experience, the timing of when you use special items is the difference between closing out a room efficiently or notching damage you can scarcely afford to take. If anybody on the team dies, mission's over. So it pays not to rush grimly at everything you see. Each of the encounters such as having to fight clones of yourself or wandering into a gladiatorial arena. Has a bit of pick-your-own-adventure choice tracks at the front, then a shootout and a brawl, well, if my character, Lieutenant Cook, got his way. I don't know what design inspiration parented this encounter and combat system, but I like it. It's juicy enough to reward the thought you put into it. Okay, the thought JoJo put into it, without dragging on the pace. By the time we barrel into the last room and switch up the track to the finale music, it's time to fight the alien queen, and I'm sold on this. I'm engaging in all kinds of fanfaronade. There's your vocab word of the day. fanfarronade, fanfaronade. I think it means like aggressive or blustery talk, like bravado. Anyway, Lieutenant Cook is just talking mad shit about how bad we're going to rinse this boss monster. I've repeated this prediction for the last 6 rooms and been right, so we feel unstoppable. And we were, with some luck and JoJo's superior knowledge of how to work the game. This one's now on my queue for stuff I want to replay, so that's a win. Number 2 on the new to me but not for long list, Scout. It's a ladder climbing card game that plays fast. Bethany brought this one down a few weeks ago at Frontier Geeks, and it's become a fixture on Monday nights. We've been having 5-player games. In Scout, you're trying to be the first one to dump the cards in your hand by playing a stronger combo of cards than the person to your right. This lets you capture cards for point tally at the end of the round and doesn't make you add to your hand. No, the cards you claim, again, go into your scoring pile, and around it goes until somebody stalls because the ladder of hands got too high, or some smartass lays down a 4-card run and waves their empty hands at the group, ending the round and triggering, a round of groaning instead. It has a circus theme, which absolutely vanishes in play, and there's tons of neat touches about it. Like all the cards are primarily driven by numbered values, but you're not allowed to change anything in your hand, the order in it. You can pull cards out to play them, or you can insert a new card where you like, but in between that, no rearranging anything. The one big move you get to make is at the very beginning. When you look at your hand, if you want, you can flip it upside down and give every card a different value and see if that gives you some better starting sets or runs. After that, it plays real fast. Everyone just taking tricks or adding to the ladder until somebody is the big winning alpha clown. Again, there's circus imagery with it, but it's really just a quick, fun card game with a few inventive twists on some of maybe the old trick takers that you're used to. It reminded me a bit, in my limited experience, of stuff like gin rummy, spades, hearts, euchre, but it's got its own thing going on. It's a big hit, and every time Bethany and David come to last night, I was there playing, and they didn't bring it, and I was crushed because I was ready to play some Scout. As far as I can tell, this is really better with 4 or 5 players. The more players, the better with this one. Give it a look. Here comes track of the week.
I kicked it, I kicked it, come on, you couldn't bang with this if your name was Gang Kong.
Let's talk about D&D Studios. Foxy Brown recorded there. So did Fat Joe and Big L. Jay-Z recorded the entire Reasonable Doubt album there, and the album featured production from DJ Premier. And in '95, they released the D&D Project, featuring Act Up by Ill Breed. I like the rawness of that hi-hat dominated drum loop. It's a great contrast with that warm, plucked instrument melody and gives the illusion that the track's moving faster than it is. Mr. Walt and Evil D of the Beat Miners get the production credits for this track. Evil D was also Black Moon's DJ, so these guys had their hands all over that hypnotic, loopy boot camp click sound that was synonymous with New York's underground sound in the 90s. So this was a chance for production and mic legends to do an in their prime passion project, as well as elevate some new talent here and there. I think Ill Breed, the guy rapping on this one, was affiliated with the Beat Miners, which is the production team behind it. His gravelly voice reminds me a bit of Nine, who had a minor breakthrough with So What You Want. You probably heard it. But in either case, I think, the fact that we didn't hear much after Ill Breed might have been bad luck, or maybe it's just the fact that, in this case, let's face it, the track does most of the lifting here. Ill Breed gets the job done, and he's fun to listen to, but it's not like you're going to be unpacking any of these bars years later in your mind.
Yeah, I cram my mind when I swam around, packing full clip to blow your crew's mind. Whose design got magic, funk, tragic for punks coming through with the bad shit. The Buddha from Bucktown, bag a bitch, and then back to Shaolin grounds.
I had this cassette when it first came out, but maybe owing to timing in my life or shifting tastes, I barely have any memory of it, even with the power of the personnel involved. But I do remember playing Act Up over and over again, just for the groove. Like a lot of the boot camp click and similar underground work at the time, they don't skimp on the verse time, and there aren't a ton of switch-ups in the track once they lock the groove in. It's street corner trance state stuff, the air so thick with Philly smoke you can't see your friends. And the chant on the chorus is fun too.
Checkmate, bring in the break. The blunts make me do that. My niggas make me do that. The stunts make me do that. The ghetto make me do that. The blunts make me.
So I just want to make sure I heard you right there, Mr. Breed. I've made a note to both Act Up and Go Wild. There's one other track on this song I'm going to point you at. It's the opener. It's a cavalcade of well-established talent on track one. It's called 1-2 Pass It. They don't let any of the farm team players on this one. It's Dougie Fresh, Fat Joe, Jerry the Damager, KRS-One, Mad Lion, and Smith & Wesson. So, yeah, if there's another crew joint that has all those dudes and the Dougie Fresh with Fat Joe, come on. That's a kinetic museum of hip-hop greatness right there. But yeah, D&D Music Project, or it was simply called maybe the D&D Project, I believe, 1995. There's 2 tracks that make that one worth looking up wherever you get your music. So there we go. You made it. That's episode 89. Check out the breakupgamingsociety.com donate page if you want. I've got a custom cocktail booklet and a wicked adorable Defiant Frog sticker for those who chip in a tenner. I'm also giving away select titles from the comic book collection I amassed between 1984 and 1987. That one's for those who go over and above. Keep shipping in mind here. Again, check my donate page for details on all that. Also, before I go, I feel compelled to tender somewhat of an apology to the podcaster who sent me a scathing email when I declined their offer to interview them on Breakup Gaming Society. Really wasn't honest with you about why I declined. Here's the reality. I find that having a pretty dick takes up a lot of my time. You can already likely imagine the quotidian burdens. Washing it, playing with it, washing it again. That doesn't take into account the time each week I have to spend answering handwritten letters from its ardent, yet admittedly dwindling, group of global admirers. Like just the other day, I lost an entire working afternoon because I was searching for some tax documents and found the cravat I made for it when I presented it at the Kiwanis Club. When your bête noire and your muse is constantly calling to you from inside your jeans, it's everything you can do to get an episode out, much less platform your libertarian-themed pet food you're selling on the blockchain. It sounds fascinating, and I wish you the best of luck in your endeavors. With contrition, I remain your host and colleague, the Great Unclean One. P.S. May you fight long and well.
Trump, you Trump, mate. Your bed's full of crusty bits. Trump, you've got an itch on your arse, you use your toothbrush. Ugh. Check that break.